everyone. Short and sweet, or short but sweet, whatever you want to call it. Our little 30-minute snippet of yoga, but never underestimate the power of 30 minutes. Today, I thought I might jump on and do a little 30-minute roll and release session using any kind of therapy ball that you might have. I use these good yoga chin-up balls. They're therapy balls. As you know, they've got some kind of give, but they're not rock hard. For example, they're not like a cricket ball or a lacrosse ball, but they're also not too gooey either. If you didn't have a set of these, I would definitely suggest maybe two tennis balls and maybe two tennis balls in a little sock and then just tie it off. But this is an amazing fascial release workout where we get to let go of build up tightness and tension. We're going to go backs, shoulders, chest, hips and calves. So these are the top 5, the ones that everyone says, oh my God, they're so tight. What can I do to get rid of this nagging tension that sits in my shoulder, that radiates up my neck, or that sits in my back and runs down my legs? These are an absolute godsend. Let me start. I'm going to try to work from head to toe. I'm going to start, and I'll put myself near the wall because you will need a wall. That will be for our pec stretches, and you'll need a set of blocks for that as well. To start off with, the back one, we're going to use 2 of the balls together in their little sock or pouch, and they are going to start from the base of the neck, and we're going to gradually work our way down here to the lumbar, to the lower part of the back. We never roll on a joint. We always roll on the flesh because obviously we're trying to release the grip that the fascia has, or the tightness that the fascia has over the muscle. And when the fascia becomes hydrated, which happens through compression, through what we call shearing, then the fascia then hydrates, and therefore it has less hold often on the muscles. So let's find our way down towards the floor first of all, and you'll need a block to sit underneath the back of the pelvis on this one. So remember, we're going to start here in the upper thoracic, so not here in the cervical, so not in your neck, but that first part of the back. These 2 balls go either side of the spine. So what's going to go underneath our pelvis? I'm going to slowly work our way down. Ball here, either side of that spine. And I'll always suggest to be up and up comes that bum, and that makes a big difference. Okay, this angle on the spine, this inclination, is what instigates some more load down into the balls and assists with more compression. So basically what we're doing at the moment, we're compressing the skin into the balls, or the flesh into the balls, to allow this hydration process to start to happen. For some people, just being here alone is ample, and they're like, okay, that's enough, I don't need to do anything because I can feel that there's already, and we're already addressing some tension. However, other people might need to make some changes in terms of the movement of the scapula to address different parts of the muscles, and this one might be doing something like slowly taking the arms up, 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 and then dropping the shoulder blades down a little more into the balls. It might also be something as simple as changing the structure of the shoulder blades by bringing the arms around to also hug. And we don't use friction in roll and release. We use, yes, we do roll, because it's called roll and release. We do roll over the balls, but ever so slowly, not fast like some people might do on a roller. Therefore, in this one, you're welcome to give yourself like this little rock, so to speak, going side to side. Now, obviously, we have to work our way down the spine. So when you're ready to do that, all you need to do is use your feet to push forward, and then that ball begins to roll down the back a fraction more. Again, feeling what's going on here, and do we need to do any arm movements or any side-to-side movements to address that tension that we might be identifying in the back here. So not only could we move slightly side to side, but we can also move forward and back. And that can be done literally by tilting the pelvis back. So in other words, thinking of flattening my back down into the mat, or even moving my pelvis forward, arching my back away from the floor, and the balls will roll up the back wall. And remember, we're not in any hurry. I always suggest that we find what I call the sweet spot. Where is that? That little spot where you go, oh. It's that love-hate spot. That spot that you know you should be on. It's really talking to you. And then seeing if, when you sit in it, that there's some kind of letting go, okay, that eventually, over time, it responds. So I'm also going to be really mindful of the clock. I'm going to move down a little bit more. And if you get to a part where you think, yep, I've moved down a fraction, there's not that much going on here, that's okay. You could, for the want of a better word, skip it, or again, slightly sort of play around with that left-right action or up-down movement, thinking, yeah, all right, maybe I need to be more over to the left on this side, more over on the right, whatever it might be. Again, you'll know where that little spot is. You get to a point as we roll down the spine that you no longer need the inclination in the upper part of the spine, so you'll get to a stage where the block can come out from underneath. So I feel like I'm almost at that stage, and you'll notice that as you roll down, when you get to that real mid-thoracic, and now you've got a bit more weight into these balls. You can also push your feet down into the floor and press your body weight down into the balls a little bit more. Again, watch what actions that the arms make that can change the dynamics here of the ball, or the effects of the ball. Sometimes what can happen, so I'm going to move down just a little bit more, so I get to that really right across that midline, where now I can feel I'm heading more towards the brow line. You'll get to that stage where on some parts of the back, where you don't feel as though that, unless you'll be mindful of it, that maybe you're really allowing yourself to sink into the balls. And sometimes when the tension is so tight and there's this element of discomfort, being slightly uncomfortable in it, that we sort of pull off, we pull away from the balls. So be mindful that you're really allowing the body to drop into the balls and really compress into the balls. I'm not saying force yourself into the balls, but be mindful that your body's not responding by pulling away from the balls. Okay, I'm going to move down just a little bit more. And then by rocking this pelvis forward and back, you can see how we're shifting up and down the fibers. So the muscle fibers running lengthways here, down the spine. Let's just move one more little space here. And again, we all feel places of the spine. And you all might come up with your own little, actions that you do that feel like you really hit that spot. I definitely suggest that if you find this little sweet spot somewhere and you go, oh wow, that's exactly it. I can feel it perhaps giving me this referred, I'm going to call it referred pain or this referred response. Then you want to sit on it and breathe your way through it. Just like our yoga practice, we never hold the breath. So we have to be really mindful here. Where is that place? What do I need to do to really embark on releasing that and not pulling it out away from it? Perfect. Let's just find one more roll. These top five are awesome if you're sort of a bit desk bound or you're feeling really stiff. I know a few people have said to me that they wake up stiff and there's this discomfort in the back. And that can literally be because you've been lying in a position for periods of time, and therefore the muscles tighten as they set themselves in that rigid framework. Good. Now, to get ourselves out of this one, I suggest we just roll over to one side, take that little pouch of balls out, and then we need a little moment of resetting. Roll back over, keep the knees bent, maybe let the knees knock together, and just feel and allow the back to sprawl across your mat. You should feel a little wider across the back, and in a nice way. I say that, in that you feel as though that you're not sort of pulling off the mat, but you're actually melting across the mat with great sort of ease, complete relaxation of the muscles. There's less holding on. Alrighty, let's find ourselves working individually on each scapula. Now the shoulder blades or scap, so you'll need just the one ball for this one, are notorious for getting really, really tight. There's a lot of work that they do, even with the laptop, the arms aren't necessarily always by the sides. We might be out through here, we're adjusting screens. The arms are used, if you've got this mouse out here, if we use a mouse, the arm and therefore the shoulder blade gets a lot of work to it. You could do this against a wall, definitely. So if you were at your desk and this is really sort of doing this and it's really pulling up on the neck, use the ball against the wall. Perfect opportunity to use the wall. I'll do a quick demo of that as well. But underneath the back of the shoulder blade, I'm going to show you where. So it sort of sits in this there's a little sort of pocket through here. You will know it, don't you worry. So we're not on either side of the spine at all. We're more lateral, we're more to the side. And that a little bit more so you can see me not hidden behind the little coffee tables. So again, just take your time and get super fussy with this one. You'll need to distribute the weight more towards the side that the ball's on to get that true effect of it. And it does honestly take just a little while to find where it might be that needs that true attention. This is usually one of just isolating the area, whereas that one we were working on through the erector spinae, those back muscles and the rhomboids, we were progressively working down the back. Here we're just sitting on a sweet spot, a little pocket that's talking to us and saying, oh yes. Again, again, this is absolutely perfect if you're on the computer or if you are upper body driven. I had a school teacher once who said to me that her arm was just so tired from writing on the board, and that she had lost her range of movement. She only sort of lift the arm to 3/4 of the way. She couldn't get it up anymore, felt like it was locked and jammed, and just almost that frozen shoulder effect. So I gave her the balls to use, and she did it up against a wall. She found that easier for her, and she was absolutely like gobsmacked, just like a miracle had happened. All the tension in her neck had gone. She had range of movement in her arm. And that's literally because what happens is when you do something repetitive, e.g. writing on a whiteboard all the time, or sitting on your laptop or your computer, the fascial layers begin to form in that structure that you're sitting in. Okay? So the layers of fascia start to build up, like scar tissue. Think of what happens with scar tissue. Same thing happens with fascial layers, and you get stuck in a position. And the fascial layer, that's why our posture, you'll see people that are really hunched over, and they're like, over time, how did that happen? Because they stayed in that format, and the fascial layers just kept layering over and over and over, because fascia keeps building itself. And as a result, the posture becomes permanent. And obviously dry, that's why we're hydrating it. So you could play around with this arm, like I'm starting to sort of make little mini circles with this arm, because that's where I'm starting to feel like, okay, now I've found a really obvious spot there. Let's just ease off here and roll off a quick reset. And we'll find that same spot on the other side. I'm going to do this one on the wall. You're going to have to excuse me because it's going to be the back of me. But to show you on the wall, we can use our body weight into it. Some people find this easier because they can actually physically push a little bit more or let their weight go into it more. This is the one I was saying, it can be good if you're on your desk. You can also roll this one a little bit more because you don't have so much restriction being down on the floor, so your body can move it slightly more. I'm making some ever so slow circles, like I'm drawing a small clock face. I could compress into it, and I've still got this whole option of using the arm, of moving the arm either up, down, on the wall, flush up against the wall. So you could draw some little mini circles. You could compress, so just compression, or you could shear, where you're going across the fibres. So that would be me moving slightly forward and back here. I must say I find this one a bit easier to find the sweet spot, because I don't have to manoeuvre the lower half of my body too much to get in the right position. We usually spend about anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes And if we start doing sides, so you can always use that as a bit of a guide as well. So in other words, it's not a one-hit wonder. It's not like, oh, yeah, push the ball in, yeah, good, go on now. All right, so we're going to ease off this guy. Perfect. Oh, one block, moving down. So we've done scap, we're going to do chest. I must admit it, I do like the ball and the block for the chest. You can do this on the floor with the ball here, pressed up against, so lying prone down, but a lot of people don't like their faces down because they don't know what to do with their neck. At least here, you've got a bit more of a gap. Ball into the little short side. That's going to go, as I talked about that little pocket, it's going to go like here. So it's not right in the middle of my chest. It's more at that the soft spot here where the shoulder meets the chest. I'm going to go back this way so you can see. Put that ball. Again, I've got that leverage of using back leg, front leg more bent. The same action of the shearing where you could just slowly move up and down. You'll notice that the movements are really small and quite controlled. They're quite finite. Then you've got the action that the arm could do, just out to the side. Then that makes a huge difference because obviously the shoulder blade, scapula starts to move, and then scapula will affect what goes on here in the chest. We've obviously got the compression where we're pushing into the ball. And then we've got this thing called cross fibering where we run across the fibers as well. And in order to do that, I face the wall, and then I ever so slowly do a slight rotation away from the wall. So the idea of turning inwards and turning outwards. Again, perfect desk bound people. If you did this before you started, you'd feel $1 million. If you did this in your lunch break, it would feel awesome. You can do this anytime. I would say, in terms of how much, because they know, how often should I do it? You're like, how often should I do yoga? Or how often should I do it? You would only want to do this once a day. Alrighty, let's switch those sides. So even by releasing through the chest, you notice this release through the shoulder as well. You feel a lot more range of movement and more freedom, less restriction. If you ever feel as though you're sort of slouching and rounding or slumping forward, then this release is perfect. Sometimes we don't even know we're doing it. This will also also free up the neck. I can already start to feel a little less restricted in the neck and the throat here. Alrighty. Oh, just even this sense of not feeling so tight through the neck is beautiful. Pecs, release, hips. We have 2 to go. We're on a mission. Alright, this goes underneath the hip. It's going to go in this flesh buzz. It's not my bottom. It's more lateral. It's more at the side. Again, people's hips tend to be, check out if you need a little support on that head, but people's hips tend to be super tight from sitting so much. And I'll promise you that you'll roll over onto this ball and there will be at least one spot that you can find, at least one spot. So, again, take time to find it. What can make some variation here is the amount of weight we put over here onto that ball. The action that happens here with this underside leg, so you can see that I've pulled it out from underneath me a little bit. That can make a difference. Even elevating, so I'm raising my ankle up a little higher. This is putting more load down into, so I'll just pop that ankle, again this will depend on how much mobility you have, but that definitely makes a difference. Lifting the leg, propping it up and weighting into it. And what you might notice, if your muscles are quite responsive, that it can ease off. It might ease off quickly and think, oh gee, it's not there anymore. That's fantastic, that's a big tick for you. So then you might find another little spot that, you know, what if I go up a little higher or go into a different area? Oh yeah, I found a new little spot. I find hips are very typically the muscle groups that love pulling back a little bit. All of a sudden you're sitting here and you're going, oh yeah. Oh, it's a little bit better now, it's a little bit better. It probably isn't, it probably hasn't fully released, it's just that you start to back out of it a bit. So just keep checking in on yourself and making sure that you are staying on the ball and into the ball. And as you can picture what a muscle would look like, or any of the muscle groups that you might be working on here, it's not just this one thin little line, you know, it's an expansive mass of fibre, so rolling over onto different parts of it is important. Let's roll off that side and complete the other side. I often find that if my hip can really affect my back. So when I release my hip, often the niggle in is my lower back that will tend to it dissipates, because the hip is obviously being displaced a little, pulled out of alignment, and then as a result of the hip being pulled out of alignment, it will then start to pull on the back, on the lower back, because then the hip might rotate or hike or tilt, and all of that then impacts. It's like a whole little domino set impacts on the rest of the spine and body. So again, just identify, you know, am I staying on the ball? Am I pulling back? Do I need to find a new spot? Has things released? Is there anywhere else in this little hip junction that I could move this ball? Good, and then easing. Oh, and coming back up. We have two more, or one more, but 2 legs to go. The calf, ball under the meatiest part of the calf. A couple of ways that we can address the calf is the action that the foot makes. We could point and flex, what we call plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, pointing and flexing. We could do that little shearing action where the leg slightly bends and straightens. Or we could cross fibre where the leg can turn internally and externally. Some people might find that this is strong, others are like, oh, you know, it's not that strong for me. I have seen people, and some people will just do the cross leg, putting more weight down onto it. That's up to you. My calves always are quite sensitive, so I find that I personally don't need a lot. They're never sore, per se. Like I say, oh gee, my calves are sore, never ever sore, but they are very sensitive when it comes to pressure. But if you do walking or hiking, or you're on your feet a lot, you'll notice this. Right, let's switch the legs over. I am slightly rushing you. But again, you've got that internal rotation of the leg or the external, the point and the flex. Or that slight bend and straighten of the leg. So I can even feel, because I do my left leg first, just by letting that leg just relax there onto the floor now. Not that it was, as I said, it was sore before, but just noticing the difference of how it feels now. It feels much more relaxed than before. You could even draw circles with the foot. And you can definitely just isolate an area, so you don't have to sit and do a half an hour. You know, one of the things that I find, the more of release work that you do, the more that the body talks to you and it tells you what it needs to be done. So it might be, oh, gee, that hip's really crying out to me today, then just do the hip. If it's that you feel like the shoulder, you know, there's this tight and pull in the back, then just do the shoulder blades. You don't have to do the whole body. You don't have to do the whole body. You can just isolate little pockets. All right, let's put that leg onto the floor. You might again notice that real sort of sprawling out effect of the calves, less grip, less hold, and they feel a little looser, more freedom, probably even somewhat floppy. Half an hour, it's just never enough, is it? But they're the top 5, and they're top 5 really great little releases that you can do to bring about an enormous amount of relief that we often feel when the muscles literally feel like they've got this grip and this massive hold on themselves. So I hope you enjoyed your half an hour of roll and release. Put it as a saved, I reckon. It's something that I think you can come back to a lot and just do a quick overhaul. It's a great little maintenance half-hour maintenance into just get this sort of looseness and freedom back into the body, and less of the feeling of less restricted and compounded. Have an awesome day. If you're with me this morning, I know a few of you are, I can see all the little names on the screen. Beautiful sunny day for us today. Enjoy it. Take care. I get to see you again on Wednesday masterclass, half upper body, half lower body. Take care, everyone. I will see you soon. Have a great day.